weekly spiel. Welcome to my weekly spiel. Yada yada blah blah blah. Yada yada blah blah blah. It's time for Margaret's weekly spiel. Greetings and salutations. This is Margaret Franklin from Margaret Franklin Creations, and welcome to my weekly spiel. It's a bit late this week. I don't know if I even had one last week. There has been so much friggin' drama in my life these days. It is ridiculous. So I am at Janette's place. This is her apartment. That's her bedroom there, and I am just vegging out on the couch, living the life of Riley here, pigging out, stuffing my face with cookies, and binge reading the Katie John books. There are actually 4 in the series now. The original trilogy was written in the early 60s, and this last one was written in 1980. And what a wonderful corker that it contains a hot air balloon scene. Yeah, Katie John went on a balloon ride, just like Janette and I did back in Vegas, back when we were there in 2019. Anyway, I have my COVID vaccine. You probably can't see it, but it still hurts. I got it on Wednesday. Oh, it was a really hectic day. This is what I've had, what I call several clusterfuck moments this week. Oh great. Of course they wait for me to finish talking. There is a train going by in the background, and I'm trying to not let it... Oh, shut the fuck up! Trying to not let it derail my train of thought. Oh, where was I? So, yeah, I had my vaccine on Wednesday, because I had the confirmation number in my email and written down on a piece of paper, and my friend Amy says, hey, they're taking in walk-ins at the location near her place. So I had to drop everything, get dressed quickly, and she said, I'll be there in about 6 minutes, more like 16 minutes, because she always gets lost trying to find her way to my place, especially since she recently moved to a new location. So we get there, and when we do, it's 1:30, and the guy giving the needles is off for lunch, so we have to wait for another hour. You had to fill in the paperwork, but unfortunately I hadn't filled in all of it. Excuse me. And so finally, I think for the last 20 minutes got to be a real sensory nightmare, because earlier, like while we were waiting in the store, there was nice 80s music playing, and then they start playing all the squangy pop diva stuff, and the nurse is trying to ask me a million questions while the people behind me are like yakety 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 yakety, and I feel like I want to turn around and scream at them to shut the fuck up. Excuse my language, but actually I came so dangerously close to meltdowns twice that day, because earlier that day when Amy was on the phone with me, my computer acted up on me, and I lost my internet connection with Bell. And I thought, the last thing I want to do is call tech support, because their people don't speak English. Well, they do, but everybody I talk to has a heavy accent, and they talk too fast, and they have virtually no patience whatsoever. And that can make me have a meltdown. So that's... I lost so many spoons that day that I lost half the next day's supply, so I could not take part in my Zoom meeting. I was just too exhausted. So I went and I took my nap. Like, before I took my nap, I'm sitting at the computer thinking, I'm not going to be able to make it. I can't do this. My meeting isn't until 1:30. It's 1 o'clock. I have an excruciatingly headache. I am almost in tears. No can do. I'm going to bed. So when I woke up from my nap, Dave had a leg appointment to go to in the meantime. He came back from his leg appointment, and here's what happened. Scott was outside, probably waiting for him. Scott says to Dave, are you Clark? What? And he says, are you a hologram? What? Well, lately one of the things that Scott's been obsessing about are Nazis and holograms. No. And then he says, well, are you planning on living upstairs forever? And Dave says, well, I don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow. And Scott says to him, well, what's the insignia on your tombstone? And Dave says, well, I don't know. Scott says, you're going to find out, or you're going to be there sooner than you think. Well, if that isn't a death threat, I don't know what is. So, I think yesterday I left for Janette's place, and I just needed to get away for a few days. But I was just so worried about Dave that I couldn't concentrate. And I phoned home at least 3 or 4 times, and I snapped. I had the worst night meltdown ever. I just went full blown nuclear. Like, I just couldn't stop screaming. And this has got to be a record year for police encounters, because God knows how many times they've been at our home lately because Scott phones them and forgets why. Or, like, he wants to get the police sick of coming to our place, so they won't know when there's a real emergency. I mean, I've documented everything. I turn on my camera and record conversations when the police are at the door, in case things get violent between them and Scott. And now, how long have I been talking? Let me check the time here. Is it 10 minutes or 6 minutes? I don't know. I've probably been talking long enough, so I'll probably have to make this a two-parter. Stay tuned.